The Job Offer 1. Introduction to protagonist opening scene. Emily is in her small, cluttered college dorm room, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups. The camera captures her fatigue and determination. Character development. Emily is on the phone with a friend, discussing her financial struggles and the need for extra cash. This conversation reveals her character: responsible, practical, and a bit stressed. 2. The Job Offer. The call. Emily's phone rings and she answers. The camera shifts to focus on her intrigued face as she listens to the voice on the other end. Client introduction. Mrs. Harris, the voice on the phone, introduces herself and explains that she needs a babysitter for her 2 children, Jake and Lily, for 1 night. The setting shifts to a dimly lit room, creating a suspenseful atmosphere as Mrs. Harris describes the remote location. Details and instructions. Mrs. Harris provides specific instructions. No one else will be around, and Emily should follow the house rules closely. There's a hint of urgency and a barely concealed unease in her tone. She mentions the house is isolated, but downplays any potential issues. 3. The Agreement. Emily's decision. After hanging up, Emily is seen contemplating the job. She looks at her calendar and notes the job in, considering the money it will bring in. The scene portrays her initial excitement, mixed with a touch of nervousness. Preparation. Emily starts packing her things: a few snacks, a flashlight, and a first aid kit. The camera captures her meticulous preparation, emphasizing her cautious nature. 4. Initial unease. Preparations for departure. As Emily leaves her dorm, the camera follows her through dimly lit corridors, amplifying the feeling of isolation and the impending unknown. Final thoughts. In a quiet moment before she drives off, Emily pauses and looks back at her dorm, reflecting on the eerie instructions she received. The sound design features a subtle, haunting melody that builds suspense. 5. The drive journey to the house. Emily drives through dark, winding roads, the headlights cutting through the fog. The camera captures the encroaching darkness and the dense forest surrounding the road. Tension building. The radio plays softly in the background, with news about local legends or supernatural sightings, adding to the sense of foreboding. Occasionally, the camera focuses on Emily's anxious expressions and the increasing darkness outside. 6. Arrival at the remote house. First impressions. Emily arrives at the house, a large old structure that looks out of place in the darkness. The camera pans slowly to capture its isolation and the surrounding forest. Meeting the children. The Harrises greet Emily warmly but briefly. They introduce their children, Jake and Lily, who are unusually quiet. The children's subdued behavior adds to the atmosphere of unease. 7. The house tour. Exploring the house, Mrs. Harris gives Emily a quick tour, pointing out key areas like the kitchen, the children's rooms, and the attic. The camera lingers on certain details: a dusty, locked attic door and an ornate, old-fashioned mirror, creating a sense of mystery. House rules. Mrs. Harris reiterates the house rules, emphasizing the importance of keeping everything in order. There's an undercurrent of tension in her instructions. 8. First impressions. Initial settling. After the Harrises leave, Emily settles in, preparing snacks for the kids and checking the house's amenities. The camera captures her attempt to create a comfortable environment despite the house's unsettling atmosphere. Eerie moments. Small, strange occurrences begin. A creaking floorboard, a cold draft. Emily dismisses them, attributing them to the age of the house. 9. Final preparations. Children's behavior. Jake and Lily's behavior becomes more peculiar as they prepare for bed. They make cryptic remarks about the shadows and seem unusually anxious. Emily's concern. Emily tries to reassure them, but her own unease grows. The chapter ends with a shot of Emily looking out into the darkened forest from a window, a sense of foreboding hanging in the air. 10. Closing scene. End of the day. Emily prepares for a quiet night, but the lingering sense of dread is palpable. The final shot is a close-up of the large mirror in the hallway, reflecting the darkened house, a subtle hint that something is amiss. The arrival one. Setting the scene opening shot. The chapter opens with a wide shot of the remote house as the sun sets, casting long shadows and enhancing its eerie, isolated appearance. The house looks old and foreboding against the backdrop of encroaching darkness. Atmosphere. The scene is accompanied by a haunting, ambient soundtrack that sets a tense mood. The sound of rustling leaves and distant animal calls adds to the unsettling ambiance. 2. Meeting the children. First interaction. Emily steps inside, greeted by Jake and Lily. Their behavior is polite but strangely distant. The camera focuses on their eyes, capturing an unusual seriousness that contrasts with typical childlike enthusiasm. The children's home, Jake and Lily's rooms, are shown, neat but somewhat old-fashioned. The decor includes vintage toys and family photos, hinting at the house's long history. 3. Initial exploration house tour. Mrs. Harris gives Emily a quick tour of the house. The camera lingers on specific features, an old ornate mirror in the hallway and a locked attic door. Each element is presented with a sense of mystery. Unsettling. Details. Emily notices subtle oddities, a family portrait with an unsettling expression on one figure, and a cold draft that seems to emanate from the attic. 4. First odd event. Strange noises. As Mrs. Harris finishes the tour and leaves, Emily hears faint, unexplainable noises, a creaking floorboard, a soft whisper. The camera follows her as she searches for the source, revealing only shadows and the quiet old house. Children's anxiety. The children act more anxious as the evening progresses. Lily keeps glancing at the hallway, while Jake is unusually quiet and withdrawn. 5. Settling in dinner time. Emily prepares dinner for Jake and Lily, trying to create a relaxed atmosphere. The meal is quiet and tense, with occasional awkward glances between Emily and the children. Attempted normalcy. After dinner, Emily tries to engage the children in activities like watching TV or playing games. The children's responses are muted, and the atmosphere remains heavy. 6. Eerie discoveries. The mirror. Emily is drawn to the old mirror in the hallway. As she looks into it, the reflection seems slightly off, shadows that don't match the room's actual layout. The camera captures this with a sense of growing unease. The locked attic door. Emily examines the locked attic door, feeling an inexplicable urge to investigate what's behind it. The door is old and heavy, with an air of mystery about it. 7. Children's strange behavior. Bedtime routine. The camera follows Emily as she tucks Jake and Lily into bed. They are unusually quiet and seem to be hiding something. Lily clutches a stuffed animal tightly, and Jake stares blankly at the ceiling. Cryptic remarks. As Emily leaves the room, Lily makes a cryptic comment about the shadows coming to life, and Jake mentions the man in the mirror. Their words leave Emily feeling unsettled. 8. Emily's growing concern. First signs of fear. Emily tries to relax in the living room, but her nerves are frayed. The house is silent except for the occasional creak and the distant wind. She decides to read a book or watch TV to distract herself. Unexplained events. Strange occurrences continue. Items are misplaced. A door creaks open on its own. Emily is visibly unnerved, but tries to rationalize the events as part of the house's age and creakiness. 9. Increasing tension. The phone call. Emily receives a phone call from Mrs. Harris to check in. The call is brief, but filled with an underlying tension. Mrs. Harris asks if everything is all right and mentions that the children are sensitive to the house. Unease builds. Emily's sense of unease grows as she reflects on the strange call and the unsettling behavior of the children. The camera focuses on her anxious face as she tries to stay calm.